All right, folks, I have 7 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and call to order this September 12, 2023 meeting of the Board of Commissioners of the Town of White Lake. And I would ask, first of all, that you bow your heads for the invocation. Dear Lord, I wish to thank you for giving us the opportunity to be able to gather here this evening to discuss the business of our town. We would ask that you guide and direct us as we attempt to do your will and to do those things that are in the best interest of the citizens of this town. These things we ask in Christ's name. Amen. Amen. The next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. I would ask Commissioner Suggs, if he would, to lead us in the pledge, and everyone here is invited to join in.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have been contacted by Paul Evans and Dean Hilton, and due to some other obligations, they are not able to be present with us tonight, but we do have a quorum and are able to proceed. The first item on our agenda tonight is to approve the consent agenda items that are contained in your agenda pamphlet. There is one modification to that. There are no closed session matters that are that need to be discussed tonight. So we will remove the closed session portion. And with that modification, I would entertain a motion that we approve the consent agenda items as listed in item number 1 and its subsections. Motion second, any discussion? Not all in favor indicate by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. Next matter is our administrative matters, and Sean, if you will take our items listed in A on our project updates, and then our RFQ review.
Yes, sir. First update tonight is on our White Lake Water Management Project. And we had sorry, I'm just getting situated here. We had a really good meeting in Raleigh last week. Commissioner Hilton worked tirelessly, I'll say, trying to coordinate the schedules of multiple agencies as well as with staff to be at a meeting in person in Raleigh to discuss White Lake. And the meeting went well. We have actually set up future meetings with those folks, and I hope to continue working on what we have sort of established from the meeting on Friday. So the report here is that the meeting went very well and that we are definitely headed in the right direction, and look forward to working with all of our state partners moving forward on our lake management topics.
Can I inject something? I spoke with Dean earlier about the meeting y'all had, and I'm so excited that Dean has spearheaded. He's a man of many accomplishments. And I think y'all got the ball where he made something was positive, the ball's rolling. I, like every board member on this board, want to clear a lake, and I appreciate the direction we're going. I know there's a lot of obstacles to overcome, but it looks like from what he reported to me, we're going in the right direction. So my hat's off to Dean Hilton. I was on a 2:30 on a Saturday, and 2:30 on a Friday, having a meeting in Raleigh and trying to get out of that traffic. I applaud you and Kevin. I want to interject that. Thank you.
Yes, sir. For our update this month from Dr. Diane Lawrenson, we do have a couple of monthly topics. I would remind the public and the board, these updates are posted on White Lake NC Watch or whitelakewatch.com, excuse me. And this month's update does contain a report on the annual lake elevations, the high, low, and mean water levels, lake level changes in White Lake and Bay Tree Lake, which is an interesting graph to look at, particularly from a data standpoint. There is lake level changes specific to White Lake that is measured over a period of time. And there's also a comparison of historical and recent water quality data from White Lake. And there's several conclusions made from the data that is presented there within the report. And I would encourage everybody to look at it because the graphs do sort of illustrate a picture. But the lake level, we have seen pretty drastic changes in the lake level over time. And it's interesting to see what correlates. Certainly there's times of droughts that correlate, and we know that there's diminished groundwater that's correlating with diminished spring activity. But as we continue down this path of collecting data to really start to build a long-term scientific approach, it's worth noting that this information is valuable towards reaching that conclusion and continuing to work on, I should say, our lake management plan thereof.
There's a couple things that I want to bring to everybody's attention. 1965, the average water level was 65.8 inches. You're taking these snapshots. You might want to take a broader shot than this past year. Looking at our pH, if you look on page, the next page is 2A.1. We had pH from 4.5 in 1974 to 2003, 4.2. Then you see it's that upswing. It looks like they're down two lines. The nitrogen level was 0.21 and 0.11. Then same period, it started spiking, going up when the pH started going up. So when you go to page 2A1 on the second paragraph, the last line, the notion that a return to acidic condition in White Lake is possible or beneficial for clarity has no merit. Well, it just shows me we never had that low pH, we had clarity. We went a different direction. I don't think Diane's going the direction I want to go with, a results-oriented type person that I am, and this board is. So with that being said, and there's some other things in here that comparing us to Single Cherry Lake, our pH the same in June of 2023. They have different algae than we do. I hope our meetings in Raleigh, I hope they're constructive, and maybe we can see about having us another scientist, because I've always been a big advocate of having a lead on between us and the state, but this is not the direction I want to go.
One thing on the nitrogen level, the reason that went up is because the pH went up.
Exactly.
And the reason for that is the food was released when the pH went up, and that's why the lake turned green, and that's what brought the nitrogen level up.
Exactly. But if you read that line, see, it has no conditional clarity. There's no merit. Well, when it was low, everything was low.
We know different. Yeah, we know different because pH was low.
Where are you reading from, Tim? I'm sorry.
The second paragraph on the last page, the last line, 2A.1.1, the notion.
It's the page past the last one. It's on this page right here.
I mean, there's a lot of information in there, but I just,
It's
Yeah.
Reaching low pH, they don't know.
Well, you're talking about where it says the notion that return to acidic conditions in White Lake is possible or beneficial for clarity has no merit.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that's true. Our rainfall pH now is 6.5. I mean, I don't, how are we going to change? I mean, the lake is primarily fed by rainfall. How are we going to change the pH concentration of the lake to bring it down to acidic levels when we used to have acidic rainfall? That the level in the rainfall was basically 4.5. I mean, that's what it was. And
But I know in 2015, there was a water sample taken from the bottom of the lake at the springs, and it was 4.6. 100 feet away, it was 6.5. Now, those springs may have been working for thousands of years, as far as we know. And at one point, there was enough water flowing through White Lake that it ran a grist mill down here at the turn of the century. Now, rainfall wouldn't do that. It had to be inflow from springs underneath the ground. It did that. As far as looking at Singletary Lake and the turbid water they got, all that water comes through swamps. and they get the tannic acids from the trees and things breaking down. That's where they get the tannic water color from. Our water coming in came through. I don't know if any of you all remember doing this experiment with your kids in the 8th grade, but they had to make a water filter where the water filtered through sand and came clear. They took tea or something, put it in there, and the water filtered through the sand and came up. I think the same process happens to White Lake. I think that water coming to us is probably turbid, but as it goes through the sand, it filters all it out and it comes out clear.
Well, I would agree with that for all over the lake bottom.
Yeah.
I would agree. I'm just saying, I haven't seen anything that indicates to me that the springs have added a substantially measurable amount of water to the lake. There simply isn't any historic indication of that. And even looking at what we've got here in 2A1, it's got a comparison of White and Bay Tree Lakes from July of 1984 to July of 1988. The graphs follow almost identical in going up and down. I mean, that's just what they are. If there was a substantial amount of water coming in through the springs in the lake, and I certainly wish there was, but if there was a substantial amount coming through, I think one would expect that the lake levels would not have mirrored each other. That if White Lake was getting a substantial amount of water through the springs, that the lake level in White Lake would have gone up as opposed to following basically the almost identical pattern of Bay Tree. So I think there are things to look at on it. And but I do agree that the lake has served a filtering process. I mean, we've said that for years and years. It seems like the White Lake has the water flowing out through what we used to call the swamp side into the swamp, and in other areas in the other lakes, for whatever reason, it flows through the swamps into the lake. And I think that makes a substantial difference.
It does.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that you can compare Bay Tree Lakes to White Lake, and we're probably on the same grid here, is the water table is being dropped. And so with the water table drop, this is basically a water table lake. If the water table's up, our lake's on. So we gotta look at this, look at what's going on around us. Look outside the White Lake, look outside 2 miles around and look at all the well pumping and all the pumps. And one of our commissioners, Jeff Corbett, told me when he built that house down here, he said, I could walk out my backyard and I could hear the well running, pumping the ponds up on the blueberry farms. And I believe that is one of the main reasons why both of these are low, is because of water table that you pulled down.
I don't know. I mean, basically the information we've gotten from the hydrologists so far say the water flows away from the lake instead of into it. And I know the last time Kent White wanted to go out there and do his testing on it, he had a theory that was causing, the irrigation ponds were causing a problem with that. And when he went back out there and looked at it, because Dean and I met with him, he said his theory didn't pan out, and he didn't know why, but we did get him permission to go out there and check it out. So
I know that one of the tests that several months ago, Diane had a layout of how the water would flow into the lake when the water table's up, and how the water would flow out of the lake when the water table's down. And it was a graph. It was a very good done. It was very good, what I would say, very good description of what's going on to me.
Yeah, I remember seeing that, and I agree. And I think a lot of and I think basically that's what the Bay Lakes do, as you said. They're coming in all underneath Bay Tree Lake, when the water table's up, White Lake, all of those. I would certainly agree with that. And it makes a difference in our lake level. And again, I think it's reflected in the graph that we've got on 2A1, because, and I have seen a graph also of White Lake and Singletary Lake, and they follow almost identical in how they go up and down.
If you look at what happened a few years ago with Smithfield, they had wells all over there and they were pumping water out of the ground. Well, all of a sudden, these people's wells in St. Paul, all went halfway to Fayetteville, their wells were drying up. Why? Because the water table was being pulled down by Smithfield. Then they transferred and started pulling water out of the river.
Yeah.
My only question my suggestion was put your intake below your discharge, low discharge, and then pull the water back if it's supposed to be that clean. But that has settled out that because they're starting to use the Cape Fear River, all these aquifers that come back up, wells are fine over there.
Yeah.
And I had some lakes over there that was extremely low. And I finally told him, I said, this is why. And once they switched it over, the lakes filled back up.
Yeah, and fortunately for us over here, when they were doing that, we're not on their aquifer.
No, we're not.
And we're on a different aquifer at White Lake. And again, fortunately, we haven't had any drawdown in ours like you were talking about with that, because you're exactly right. That's the reason they had to put that intake into the Cape Fear River at the Cape Fear Bluffs plant over there, because Smithfield was causing what is it they call it, a cone of depression, isn't that it, when it drops down substantially, and that was beginning to be a real problem. And again, I'm glad we're not on the same aquifer that they're on.
It's a Rob, Commissioner Rob.
Yes.
I got a question. So this last sentence, the notion that return to acidic conditions in White Lake is possible or beneficial to clarity has no merit. Do you think in your opinion that the return to acidic conditions of the lake has some benefit to clarity?
Absolutely. Because what it would cause is all those nutrients that got released when that pH moved up, it would lock them back down. So those nutrients would go neutral again. It would take, I don't know how long it would take for it to do it, but it would eventually clear up. Yes. I mean, it could take,
So maybe
it could take a long time. Yeah. What happened here didn't take long, because it's like throwing fertilizer on your grass and all of a sudden your grass is growing. The same thing happens to the lake. That pH got to the 7 mark and everything got released that's been in there for hundreds of years. All the food source. So that's why it turned green.
And I would agree with what Tom's saying, that if we had a return to the acidic conditions, my only thing that I'm saying is I don't know how we get a return to that when we are a rainfall fed lake and we got 6.5 pH rainfall coming into the lake.
And that's a good point. Again, I just want to make sure that was clear because the first part I heard, not what Commissioner Blunt heard, but there was some disagreement in what I was but at any rate, I understand on the rain fed and trying to get back to more acidic, but I can't make sure.
Because I do agree. If we got back to acidic, I mean, I think the main thing to remember there is that, as Tom was saying earlier, it's the nutrients and the algae feeding on the nutrients that drives up the pH. We have it. That's just what it does. Yeah. Okay, change it out to rainfall, I would. I'd do it tomorrow morning.
Well, we get the springs, get some pressure back, the springs coming up.
We can find a way to do it.
Yep.
Would be fine.
Well, I hope we get a scientist work that direction.
Okay, you ready to go? Sure. We got anything else?
All right, on our White Lake Stormwater Master Plan update, the update in your packet is brief. It essentially states that the work was delayed a little bit. There was some survey crews that got caught in another area that weren't able to get out of there on time, but they are in our community now. You might have noticed them riding around this week and the end of last week. They are looking for potential areas where water quantity solutions could be implemented. And that does include further explanation into some of the practices of the peer lakes noted in document review, which is a culmination of some documents on lake management and also some of the nutrients that we've discovered is and are going into the lake through our impervious surfaces, not necessarily the rainfall that we just talked about, but this is more on the ground side and the runoff side. We are looking also at opportunity areas for stormwater control measures that have been identified in our streetscape master plan. So we're kind of tying that streetscape plan into our stormwater plan where possible. The next steps for this project are modeling the existing and proposed improvements. The survey crews will finish their work, and then the engineers will start working on some modeling concepts. At that point, we will probably bring that to the planning board to make some suggestions and recommendations to the board on our stormwater ordinance that's been tabled for a couple of months now, as we look to make sure we're implementing the correct ordinance measures that will, of course, have the desired impact, and we're not just trying to put something out there to put something out there, so to speak. So it is also important to note on that one last thing, the stormwater master plan update, the survey delay, there is a little bit of delay in the original schedule provided during our kickoff meeting, but there's a couple of areas as we move through this plan where we could make that time up. Staff will certainly keep the board updated if there turns out to be a delay in the plan draft that'll be presented to the board in a couple of months. On our water AIA project, we met with the engineers today on that. This, of course, is an asset and inventory assessment project. This is working to do basically establish and identify what we have in the ground now, where it's at in the ground now, and how we can improve it. And that could be simply improving what's in the ground. That could be replacing what's in the ground. That could be adding to what's in the ground. But this AIA project, again, is an important first step in identifying future projects and also procuring future grant dollars to improve and replace and implement new water infrastructure. So that work has begun. We had the kickoff meeting in August. So they're actually looking through all the data review now. They're looking at previous plans we've put together. They're looking at get some input from staff on different types of scenarios and information that we've seen from our wells, particularly in the ground, and types of flooring that we put in our system. We're trying to get a good handle on the system right now. And then in the future months, they'll start looking at actual modeling for our plans and mapping and gap analysis to create a hydraulic model that we could implement from a town level that is going to fit the needs of our customer base. So they're really trying to fine tune that for us as we look to move forward in this plan. This is a much longer plan than the previous plan. It will probably be completed next fall with the hope that we'll be ready to apply for grants in the spring of 2025.
Does this kind of correlate with the COG when they did their plan for us, identified all our fire hydrants, all our water lines, sewer lines, just an updated version of that?
Absolutely. This has taken that basic information the COG provided us and really fine tuning it to our town, which again is a necessity for grant applications these days. Grant applications want to see a plan that is tailor-made to your community, and they want to see how you're going to implement that plan. And then, quite frankly, they want to see how we're going to take care of the investment made through the grant. So this AIA study will answer all of those questions in turn. But yes, sir, it is taking that basic information and adding to it. That's all I have on the project updates, Mayor.
All right, on the RFQ award, if you'll present that, I'll entertain a motion on it.
Sure. So for the RFQ, if you recall, we put out an RFQ last month on our on-call professional engineering and related services. And this is no cost to the town. It simply looks to establish agreements with engineering companies that town staff is comfortable working with, has had relationships in the past working with. And what this agreement does is essentially allow staff to submit a task order to said engineering firm to work on a project without having to put every single project we have through the RFQ process. This is by going through the RFQ process once, we sort of are adding to the quote unquote town engineers. Right now that company is engineering services, but as we've grown as a town, through things like our stormwater plan, for instance. That falls out of the scope of what engineering services typically administers. They're more of a sewer and, or I should say wastewater and water engineering firm. So as we work on things like streetscapes and stormwater plans and continue to grow as a town, it's important to have several engineers that are, again, quote unquote, town engineers, ready and willing to help the town as we need it for the projects that we need. So on that note, the town did receive several responses to our request for qualifications, and working with our Public Works Director, Kevin Taylor, we did narrow down this list of the 3 you have in your agenda packet. They're relatively lengthy. I would encourage you to go through and read them at your leisure. They contain things like key staff, project experience that it's relatable in other communities, work samples that they've done. But it's just it's a quick way for you to get to know the engineering companies from that 30,000 foot view and what they offer and what they can bring to the town. I can tell the board that staff really worked hard to look at engineering companies that specialize in areas outside of just water and wastewater. And we also looked hard at bringing engineering companies to our town that had funding divisions, which is important as we look at procuring grants in the future, to have dedicated engineering companies with entire funding divisions that can help staff not just identify programs, but write the grant applications to procure those grant dollars. So having said that, the 3 we chose are Withers Ravenel, which we're doing several projects with them now. Engineering Services, which they know our system probably better than any engineering company out there. And then McGill Associates, which really specialize in stormwater management and have had a lot of success in stormwater on the East Coast in its entirety. So staff is requesting that the board approve those 3 on-call RFQs. And with that approval of those 3, staff will then bring back 3 individual contracts for the board to sign. Again, there's no cost associated with these contracts. The only cost associated is when we actually submit the task orders to the companies to have work done. If there are no questions, Mayor, staff would ask that the board approve the on-call RFQs as presented.
So moved.
All right. Motion second, any discussion? Not all in favor indicate by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. Item 3A. Sean, if you will review the phase 3 sewer improvement application with engineering services.
Yes, sir. Staff is working with engineering services. They did complete a wastewater AIA for us in 2020. We have applied last year unsuccessfully, but we did apply and we're competitive. It should be noted, we were competitive to continue our phase 3 sewer and sanitary improvement project. As you know, we've done 2 phases now that the town has done through loans with interest associated with them. These are not forgivable loans, and these are not 0% loans, which is important because the town board is putting your money where your mouth is, so to speak, to make the improvements that the state recommends and that are desperately needed for our infrastructure system as a whole. This resolution is going after phase 3 sewer sanitary improvement project. This is a $4 million grant application. And I will share with the board that we have completed a couple of different items through the Division of Water Infrastructure's checklist that will increase our point total from the previous years. One of those items is a improved, what they would consider an approved fee structure for our wastewater utility. If you recall in our budget, we did have a small increase in our water and sewer bills, mainly on the wastewater side. And we have fallen into the threshold that is recommended by the Division of Water Infrastructure in that category. So we think we'll be even more competitive this round, although that doesn't guarantee funding. It's in a better position than we were for our last grant application. So all that being said, staff would ask that the board adopt this resolution in support of this application. And I look forward to sharing updates with this grant application, most likely in the spring of the February-March timeline of 2024.
So, all right, there's been a motion to approve resolution number 2024-05 as presented for the phase 3 sewer improvements grant application. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Not all in favor indicate by saying aye. Any opposed, like sign. Item number 4 on the proclamations is we've got a 2023 Year of the Trail proclamation that we want to adopt tonight. This is the Year of the Trail, and just wanted to mention before we voted on doing that, the town continues to pursue additional trail funding. We've been working with some experts in this area that have helped us put together another application that we've been doing for this. And on Friday of this week, we're going to be submitting a $500,000 grant application for hopefully being able to continue with our trail. And wanted to let you know also that we already have a $200,000 commitment from DWR as far as funds to go in on the trail. So we're trying to get up to around the $700,000 level. We basically have we do have the necessary work done in order to secure the right of ways on that. Hope Campbell has worked on that for us, and working with Tom Keith and some of the other property owners, we now have those right of ways that we need. So, and that helps us in our grant application. So we're going forward with that. Going to submit it on Friday, and hopefully we will get some good results from that. I would at this time entertain a motion that we approve the 2023 Year of the Trail proclamation as presented in your agenda packet. Motion second. Any discussion? Not all in favor indicate by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. Under other business, we've got the departmental briefings and reports, and got the county administrator's report, tax collector's report, post office, police and fire, and public works. They're all there and contained in your agenda packet. And for anyone that needs to see those, they are available in the town hall for anyone to review. The next item is I wanted to introduce to you Mary Jo Lennon, who is our finance director, and this is Mary Jo right here. And Mary Jo, we are delighted to have you on board with us. Wanted to tell you just a little bit about her. She is a certified public accountant and has a bachelor's of business administration degree from Campbell University in accounting. And we feel like that Mary Jo adds a great degree of professionalism to our accounting department that we have. And as I'm sure all of you are aware, over the past couple of years, we have grown as a town, and there are always additional accounting requirements. And we are confident that Mary Jo will be able to help us with those and help keep our town finances in good shape. So, Mary Jo, we're glad to have you here tonight and appreciate the work you're doing, and we look forward to continue working with you. Thank you very much. At this time, there's the open forum. It's 3 minutes per citizen. If you'd like to address the board, you have 3 minutes to state whatever you need to say. If there's no one to address the board at this time, we do not have a closed session. Okay.
So, someone asked me to see if I could find the pH of the lake after the Dahlia hurricane, because I measured over 10.5 inches rain in my yard. And Tom did the pH test and it was 6.2. which made me start thinking, because you're saying rain is 6.5, right?
Saying approximately, but it's not exactly that, but it's up above 6 generally on what we've measured, yes.
So I went and looked at the history of rainfall this year. And in January, it was 6.1 when we've had a little more than usual rain, and in April, it was 6.2. So I know I only have a master's in technology and an undergraduate degree in education, but to my mind, that tells me that the groundwater filtering up through the lake when we have big rain events is bringing the pH down. And you look historically, it's the lowest it's been in 7 or 8 years right now. DEQ in Fayetteville has maps of our aquifers and notebooks of information. And they believe that our aquifers and our groundwater is being tapped out. If you'll remember, Jim Carrey said that in the first 5 minutes of his presentation, that things aren't equaling out right. And there needs to be a groundwater study to figure out where our groundwater is. A very intelligent attorney who knows that area of it has told me that there is a civil case that could be made of this, because we would be using that water on site. And we were using it before the farmers used it. And both of those would qualify for us to take them forward. I don't want to do that. I want to be good neighbors. But I think it's time y'all sat down with the farmers and had a conversation so that everybody can get what they need. Research shows that if you water the blueberries less, they have richer flavor, and that's why organic farmers are going away from watering all the time. So it's not going to be detrimental to their crops. And DEQ has also asked to go back on the farm, and it was denied. And I asked all of you to speak on behalf of the town to get him back on the farm. And he got them.
You got to get who back in the form?
DEQ, compatible. Asked to go back on. I sent all of them an email with, conversations with him.
Unless I'm mistaken, I don't think anybody from DEQ, has anybody from DEQ requested us to go back on the farm?
No, sir.
Sean, you got the email that I sent you.
Are you referencing Kent White? Okay.
Whenever,
Yeah.
you do understand that we did get Kent White back out on there, hadn't been too terribly long ago, because he met with Dean and I, and we met at my office, as a matter of fact, and went over what he was wanting to do. And he explained to us his theory on what he was doing, and we said we would get him back out with it. And we did talk to the folks, and we did get him back out there. And he went out and did testing, and he came back and met with Dean and I at my office again, and said that it had not panned out.
That's not
on
what
his
he's
theory.
told me in the conversations we've had.
Okay.
He's told me that he went on the farm once with academics. He wanted to go back, and he asked me specifically to talk to Brett and asked if he could take a team of surveyors. Because in the area where they believe the aquifer was compromised is now wetlands, and they can't grow blueberries there. And the water from that aquifer is running in the other direction and is going into Turnbull Creek. So he asked to be able to take a water sample, and he asked to take surveyors to measure the elevation of that area of the farm.
Well, if you request that of us, we would certainly take a look at it. I just, he requested the town before that he'd be allowed to do that, and we accommodated him on it, and.
That's not what I understood, but.
Well, I mean, I'm just telling you, I was.
But he thinks you're a problem, so.
Terry, I would just add too that when the Fayetteville office for DEQ did not support that claim. There was no, that, in fact, it was told to me that there was no request to do anything of that nature. So I just left it at that. I didn't know if there was a disconnect or if they had gone a different direction, but the Fayetteville office is who is our jurisdiction. That's probably the wrong word. They have jurisdiction over our region. So when they told me there was.
Feathers, and that's why it stopped. It's not because they got the information they needed.
Okay. Well, I was just told the request.
But I can be the liaison between you and him, and if you can get Brett to let him back on the farm, I've got surveyors ready to go.
I think the first thing you need to do is ask him to contact us. And again, if you have any doubt about what I'm saying, Dean was there at the meeting with you, and I don't, if, you know, Kent wants to come here and talk to us, I don't know why he needs a liaison. He's with
But his
DEQ, we work
jurisdiction
with.
does not allow him to go on the farm.
Well, it's,
And the
but
town said.
doesn't prevent him
that
from
there
talking.
has to be a representative Of this town before he would let the you go on the farm.
Well, and I'm saying that there's nothing that prevents him from talking with us that I know of. So if he wants to talk with us, then he ought to contact us. I mean, we have, in all truthfulness, he approached us with this. It hadn't been that long ago. We talked with him on it. We met with him. We accommodated him on it. He went out on the property. He did his test and he came back, and exactly what he told us was it had not panned out. And I'm more than glad to talk to him again, but I'm just telling you what happened.
I think maybe if someone else talks to him, we might get better results from what he's told me. So. I can get him.
But I think Dean's going in the right direction. He's got some communication, so I'm kind of gonna take a pause and kind of sit back, and see where Dean and Sean's conversations with. I think the more we let it happen. But saying what you're saying, I'm about like Dean. I'm ready to move something on. I'm tired of waiting too. I think it's bored. I want to see accomplishments. You know, we drag along enough. I think there's a lot of accomplishments out there we could pound our chest on. I wish we could move on and close on. I'm tired of this dragging along, but I think the direction Dean's got going, you just take a pause. I think we'll have to get results.
Who's Dean meeting with?
And I would say too, Terry, if the Fayetteville office from DEQ wants to make that request, have them reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to talk to them and continue that conversation with them. But
Okay.
they didn't acknowledge it when I reached out, so I would expect them to reach out this time.
Okay, good. Who in Raleigh did y'all go talk to?
We've met with DEQ
In Raleigh?
in Raleigh.
Did you meet with the new park guy? You wanted to take Blaine's place?
We met with representatives from parks. Yes. We're meeting with, and we continue to have good conversation with every agency involved. That's not limited to parks and DEQ. But again, if Fayetteville DEQ wants to reach out, I'll be more than happy to continue that conversation.
Okay.
No? Okay, anyone else wish to speak? If not, there is one other thing I wanted to mention, just to let you know, in case you haven't seen it elsewhere, the town of Elizabethtown has plans for their 250th anniversary homecoming celebration. That is Saturday, September the 23rd. That's going to primarily be at the Cape Fear Farmers Market on the informational brochure they just came out with. It's going to be an all-day event. They've got a lot of things going on over there, and we always try to being so close by, support Elizabethtown and the things they're doing, as well as them supporting us. And this was put out by Terry Dennison with who is their communication and marketing director. And part of the reason I wanted to take just a moment to mention this to you is in what Terry got from the state, just to let y'all know here at the lake. Our tourism spending in Bladen County is up 14% from our pre-pandemic numbers. Now, again, pay careful attention to that. That's not 14% from 2 years ago. That's 14% from our pre-pandemic numbers. We had visitor spending in Bladen County in 2022 of $51.57 million. And a payroll in the tourism industry of 10.6 million, 2.2 million in state sales tax receipts, and 1.7 million in local tax receipts. So just want you to know that, you know, they are aware of the fact, and I think most folks are around here, that we are a good economic engine for this county. And we certainly want to keep that up. We have such a great relationship with the town of Elizabethtown. You know, there's so many people that come here and stay and love to shop in Elizabethtown and have a lot of good merchants there. So hope y'all can go out and support this on the 23rd. We like to keep working with them as well as they work with us. So just wanted to mention that to you. And at this time, there being no further matters to appear before the board, I would entertain a motion that we adjourn. Motion second. All in favor? It's unanimous. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.